This is Smithy.tv.
Between the water and the microphone.
Hello.
Oh, yes. Cup of water. Phone's right there.
Did you hit record?
I did.
That would suck.
It'll be so good when Kaylee's back. Oh, yeah. All right.
I like the wet look.
Right?
I'm terrified to put anything down here because it looks like it's going to stick.
Me too. And then there's like a couple of places where other people did.
That was probably me.
It wasn't me.
This is very classy.
So we are in the studios again.
Yes, we are.
This is the Mind Reels on Smithy TV, just in case you didn't know, which is weird.
What you were watching.
But yeah. But this is our 50th show in the studio.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. And we are beyond elated. We've been talking about this for forever. We've got Julian Richings in the studio with us.
Well, I'm
which
honored.
is
Honored to be here. Thank you.
You are, without sounding too kiss-assy, you are like a Canadian icon on television and film, man. You are everywhere.
I'm gung-ho.
Gung-ho is a good thing.
I'm gung-ho and I like doing what I do.
Yeah.
And I really do. And I've made a lot of friends and I do a lot of stuff. And I guess also the kind of guy that I am, I mean, the kind of look that I have, I'm going to be in a lot of things, but not for very long. I'm not going to carry an entire series, or you probably won't get bored of me because I get killed too quickly, or I'll make an appearance as a very specific primary color and then disappear.
Well, I don't know, because there are people on the internet thinking you could be like the next Doctor Who.
That was fun. That was some. But I think it was.
Awesome. I would watch the show.
See, Sue doesn't watch the Doctor.
Well, I clearly remember seeing the first ever when I was in England. I was at my grandmother's house and we were sitting there. She had a TV and we watched the first ever episode. Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And yeah, I mean it's a great show. I've kind of lost track of it over the years as I've grown up and I've moved away to Canada. I mean, I know it has a huge cult following, massive. But and then I know that it's kind of been reinvented since Christopher Eccleston, and then it's had a whole new resurgence. But I think the interest about me being the new Doctor came about from a bunch of Supernatural fans who saw my part as Death and kind of went, wow, he'd be kind of cool. And I think it goes way back to the early... who was the first Doctor?
William Hartnell.
William Hartnell days of that kind of formal, elder gentleman. And I think that's what people were kind of thinking of. And I thought, well, that's kind of a cool idea. I mean, it obviously didn't go anywhere, but it's out there. It's out there.
I think that's a wicked idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't only just act. Of course, you've done classes where you teach and you're out there. You're very involved.
I'm very involved. I am. And I mean, it's a necessity as an actor too. I mean, we all in this business have to do a bunch of things. We have to juggle stuff. We have to juggle day jobs. We have to supplement our incomes with things. I've been fortunate in that I'm pretty busy, so I don't have to do a lot of extracurricular stuff. But what I do is I teach, and not as a regular gig, but I will, for instance, go to a high school for performing arts and work with specific students on a specific production. Wexford, I've been to Wexford Collegiate now for the last 10 years or so as a coach, and that's great because for me that's not exhausting. A lot of us get exhausted going and earning a living and trying to do what we do. It actually, in many ways, it recharges the batteries. So I see it as very much a part of what I do.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then I was going through your IMDb page today, as we do when we prep, and I was stunned by the literally tons of work you've done. And I went all the way back to like the early 90s.
War of the Worlds?
War of the Worlds. And as soon as I saw your name on it, I'm like, yes, I remember that.
I know. Well, it was a great show. Well, I mean, it was a mixed show. It was very unpopular with the fan base because it had a first season, and it had
then
a couple of leading guys that were
went
very, very
completely
popular. They got
different. Yeah.
wiped out.
Yeah.
New producer came in.
Yeah.
He had seen, I think it was 1984, the film with John Hurt that that came out in the 80s.
Yeah.
And also Blade Runner, and kind of, and thought, okay, I want something that's a hybrid of this post-apocalyptic kind of thing. And he came in with a very specific idea and completely changed the look.
Everything was.
Yeah.
So I was part of the new alien invasion as opposed to the old alien invasion. So we got very mixed reviews at the time, but it was great. I mean, we had fun.
I remember that. As soon as I saw the name, though, I'm like, of course, yeah. And I could totally see you in the character. I'm like, yeah. How could I forget that?
I haven't changed that much. Big nose, cheekbones, funny accent.
It works, though. It totally works.
Yeah, it was fun, and we shot that all in the studio at Lansdowne and DuPont. It was the old General Electric buildings.
I did not know that.
Friday's Curse was shot up there too, and then Cronenberg. I shot Naked Lunch with him up there.
That's right.
In the same building. This was a very prolific place at one point. All condemned buildings, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, but that's what makes it fun.
Coolest one.
Yeah.
Good for the film community.
Well, yeah, you've had the chance to work with some amazing directors like Cronenberg, Romero.
George Romero. Michael Winterbottom, Francois Girard. Let's not forget, Cronenberg's Canadian, but so actually George is a recent Canadian.
Yes.
So and no, I really haven't. Bruce McDonald, who I've
with
worked
Hardcore
with
Logo.
over the years a lot, and I've always enjoyed working with. And I also, it's funny, as I've got older and I've been around longer, people know my work, and I'll often work with a lot of emerging filmmakers.
Rodrigo.
And that's,
Oh my God!
Well, you could
Love
call
that
it
movie.
Rodrigo emerging. I mean, Rodrigo
I know.
is
He
Rodrigo.
is.
and he has such a presence and such a body of just output of
Yeah.
stuff. But he's one of the guys where he was playing with the medium of film and doing different stuff and playing with animation. And I don't know if you saw The Mystery of Mr.
I
Hollow.
did.
Yeah.
Which is
man.
very cool project.
Yeah.
Where it's basically a single shot
Yeah.
of a picture, and the picture keeps changing as the camera moves around. It's very creepy.
Creepy
so
is exactly the
creepy.
word I was going to use.
Well, he's the most charming man in the world.
He was
but
awesome. Yeah.
His films
He's
are
amazing,
absolutely creepy. It's
but-
like, what is it? Like,
Yeah.
it's Cronenberg's the same. And actually Romero, too. Like, all these guys are very
The nicest
comfortable
guy
to
on the
be
planet,
around.
Yeah.
And yet you see their body of work and you go, oh my
What's wrong with
God.
you?
It's on your head at night.
Because we met
The
briefly
Rosalind Lee
at
thing
Rosalind Lee,
first.
which was
Yeah.
amazing and gorgeous.
Very brave decisions by a filmmaker who's kind of going, no, I want to tell a story from a different point of view. I don't want the traditional jumps. I want to build and build and build and build. And
Loved
he did a
it.
great job.
And then what we saw.
And you can't get much better than Aaron Poole in that role.
Oh,
Like,
no,
he was in
man.
every scene.
Yeah.
And now you say that I'm busy, but there's been a period of time now where Aaron's been.
Aaron's
I
in
think he's
everything.
been the lead guy
Yeah.
in every
Everything.
significant Canadian film for the last 2 years.
Yeah, we had
It's
him.
great. It's great to see it
Yeah.
too.
We had him in here briefly
For
for
Conspiracy.
Mm.
which
But the computer corrupted and
Yeah.
lost the file, and we were so upset.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's something significant about
Yeah.
that.
I think actually
I
you
think
got
that's
blamed
why.
for it because we knew it was you. Like as soon as you appeared on the screen as the Green Man, we knew it was
Did
you.
you? I had a lot of people say
Yeah.
that.
And-
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so our whole gag that night when we had Laura Carteret, and my brain is just blanked on the director.
Yeah.
And we had Aaron, and everybody joked that you were under the table with a dart gun, getting if anybody said too much, it'd be, and
That's right.
Down they go.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
It was so much fun, but we totally made a role for you.
yeah. Totally. But and then of course Supernatural, you can't not talk about Supernatural.
You absolutely
'cause,
can.
yeah.
And what a surprise to me in terms of my career too, because it's funny. I had just finished doing Hardcore Logo 2.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce and I and many people had been trying to do a sequel to Hardcore Logo for, I guess, 15 years. There was talk of a TV series. There was talk of Tarantino being on board. There was went in this form, that form. We tried it. It didn't work. There weren't people available. It went on and on and on through many, many variations. And then suddenly 15 years have passed. So whatever you do is going to be a very different film. And Bruce very wisely, I think, made it an entirely different, reflective kind of director's film about filmmaking rather than a film about being in a rock and roll band. In a way, I mean, it is about rock and roll, but it's a different take. So anyway, this was a big deal. We'd been waiting a long time to do this. We all went out to Regina and then north, about an hour. I can't remember the name of the small town. It wouldn't matter what. Anyway, I apologize to the residents of that. We went there, so it's a big deal. And wow, we just completed Hercule Logo, and I got the call saying, "You're in an episode of Supernatural." Really? And I auditioned. I put myself on tape because it's a Vancouver show. I put myself on tape like 2 months previously as a different horseman, Pestilence. But I don't know.
Oh,
I mean, I think that was
Pestilence. It's so gross.
I think it's just. I think that they sent sides out for one of the horsemen, and then I think they got a bunch of stuff, and then I think they made. And anyway, so then it came through, and then so I basically had to. I was less prepared doing it than I normally am. Normally, I would take it pretty seriously. I'll make sure I see the show. I know what it's about. I know what's going on. I know what the universe is about. Yeah. But I was kind of hitting the ground running, and it was like I don't know if you remember the pizza parlor scene, but it was huge. I mean, it goes. It's massive. There's a lot of text, and I'm kind of going, oh my God, am I going to remember all this? And then it was Welcome to Supernatural. They were great. It's such a great show, and it's so confident in its own nature that it was actually a joy to be there. But so there I was. It was kind of an afterthought to this independent movie that I'd shot. I came in and did this day, went away again, and then I realized, oh my God, this is a phenomenon. It's not just a TV show. It is something with a fan base that is so loyal.
Conventions.
With conventions. Because as soon as I'd been on 2 or 3 different episodes, I started to get invited to conventions as well, which was a whole new thing. I mean, that whole kind of thing. The whole notion of having a convention to celebrate the show that you really like and you can geek out on, it's fantastic. Yeah. And what's interesting about Supernatural is that it's also a very different demographic. It's a female demographic. Lots of mums with daughters. There's a lot. I mean, it's mixed. Of course, it's very mixed. But it was.
And age-wise, it runs the gamut. But it's. I mean, there was hundreds of females in that. And a couple of dragged along boyfriends. It seemed.
That's right. Who had all got really turned on to the series, seeing it through other people, and I find that it's a lot. And a lot of people going, I watch it, but I really like it, but they pretend they don't.
I think when it was first advertised, and I know people at work that didn't want to watch it because it was hot guys, hot car, and they're like, I'm not into that.
I think everybody has a man crush on those boys. I mean, on one of the 2 boys, or Castiel, or or me.
There you go. Get it out there. Yep.
But it's beautifully done. I think that they weight it perfectly, and it's. Here we are, season 10. It's just coming up, right? So we'll see what happens there. But it's been an amazing experience for me, and it's introduced me to a whole aspect of the industry, really, that you go, wow, this, and this would have been impossible 15 years ago. With the advent of online blogs and fan bases now. And now fans are having direct input on the product that they're seeing on screen. And I'm doing a kind of a segue here to Orphan Black, which is the great Canadian success that we're all relishing, right? It's very interesting to see what a lot of the energy from Orphan Black has come from that rabid fan base of the first season, and I think everybody's very protective of it, and they really want it to do well. And I think that's what's given broadcasters confidence, networks pushing it, and have been able to create a really cool season 2.
Which so far has been amazing.
And so many shows too, like now when an episode airs, a bunch of the cast will be live tweeting and stuff, and then it's not even just so much who's watching the show right now, but there's people that's like, it's not my time zone yet, but they're already talking about it, so I'm just going to play along and hope for no spoilers.
And what's cool about that, I mean, in the same way that Supernatural has a huge story arc, it involves angels, devils, it has a moral universe, right? I think what's so cool about Orphan Black, it's basically about identity, And it's about, one woman looks the same but can be entirely different. And I think we were just saying before we went on air that people good or bad, I think it questions that whole notion. I mean, it's about identity. Who is who? Who are you? What do you do? What's your significance in life? So it's something that
the first season too had a lot of like who's the original, because all of them are in their own way, right?
All are original and equally valid,
right?
And
there's some stuff coming up. Oh my god!
Bird watchers, by any chance?
Yes, the bird watchers, and the whole Proletheum thing just took a really dark turn. I'm like, wow.
We're just teasing people, just throwing a few names out there, but we're not really. Well, as we speak now, we're not allowed to.
By the time this airs, everyone's going to go,
They'll know. They'll know.
But it's kind of cool. It's actually fun having that whole thing, which is, of course, why part of the whole equation too is when you have something that's hush hush and top secret and you can't really reveal it. It adds spice.
Oh, totally does.
I did Man of Steel, and
yes,
it was
you did.
Unbelievably tight guarded.
I believe it.
Tight lipped, and like cell phones go here. And nothing goes into the studio. You can't take pictures, you can't leak any pieces of information. My script consisted of my pages with my dialogue on it.
Nothing else.
There's no way that I could have leaked anything out to anybody. But there's I understand it, and there's been this whole Tarantino thing recently.
Yes, the Hateful Eight.
So I get it.
That's why. But you've kind of been doing genre for a number of years now. Do you have a preference? Do you like straight drama? Do you like the science fiction? Or
I love genre. I really do. I don't have a preference. I'm an actor. I am just a working professional actor, and that is what I do. I also work theatre, and because I grew up in the theatre, I've always performed in the theatre. It's expected that you do a bunch of stuff. TV and film tends to categorize you a little bit more, where you become a romantic guy, or a bad guy, or a funny guy, or a weird guy. Whereas actually in theatre, it's the actor's medium, and the actor is the person determining what role you are, how you're perceived. So I'm kind of used to that approach, and I approach everything as it comes, and I'm happy to do a whole variety of stuff.
And you have.
And comedy too. I like
nice. Bastards was hilarious.
Yeah. And it was funny because it's kind of gone full cycle to me, because one of the first big Canadian successes that I was involved in with Hardcore Logo with Bruce McDonald. That was a great movie, and I played a character called Bucky Haight, who became sort of an iconic figure. He's not quite as much as what's the name of the band? Billy Talent.
Yeah.
Billy Talent really has become iconic. But to the point where there'd be lots of people on the street going, "Bucky, how you doing, man?" Bucky, people actually really thought, because it was shot as a documentary, they really thought that I was that iconic figure. So I've done a lot of rock and roll stuff, and it's gone full circle now, where it's sort of turned on its head, and it's the potential for a sitcom series.
Oh man, and it was
we'll see.
So funny.
I mean, we just shot one pilot episode. Well, it even wasn't really a pilot, but it was pitched that way as a possible.
Oh, totally.
Pilot
And you
for
can
a
totally
series.
see that it could work.
Yeah.
It's a great cast, and
it was fun. But very different for me. Very different approach to again. You asked what do I prefer. I can't say that I preferred it to do in Hardcore Logo. I mean, Hardcore Logo was so innovative and so part of me. But this was fascinating as an acting exercise, because I had to bring a lot of stuff to the table, but it's a whole different discipline of delivery, of stand there while other people speak. Like, there's no camera coming in and taking really cool shots of you. No editor cutting around. It's like stand and deliver type of stuff. So it was very, very different.
That's cool. I love that style, though.
Me too. And what's interesting about it too, for me, was that Jeremy Lalonde directed it and wrote it, and is the brains behind the whole thing. But also, I first met him as an editor on Patchtown.
Yes, which
That's
you were
right.
awesome.
And I always trust directors that are editors. Bruce McDonald, first time I ever worked with Bruce was as an editor on a Peter Mettler film called The Top of His Head in about 1986, somewhere around there. And that's how I met Bruce, was when he was an editor. And I think that's one of the reasons he's such a great filmmaker, is that he knows the medium of film.
And he knows what he needs to get.
He's an innovator, and he changes the way you look at stuff. He changed the way we looked at rock and roll.
Wow.
And so now it's gone full circle where Jeremy, the guy that I first met as an editor, is doing a rock and roll thing. So it's very cool.
That is cool. Jeremy's awesome. And Patchtown was amazing because we got to go to the set, of course.
Yeah,
and
right.
We
right.
got
They
to
were
see.
singing?
Yeah, and they're singing.
Yes.
And it did really well at the festival just had.
Festival.
Yeah, just did that one too.
There was a very funny snippet from Craig. He put on Facebook some kind of interview, that crazy interview in the midst of a shopping mall full of sci-fi convention folks all dressed up.
I haven't seen that
sword
yet.
fights and chaos, and also just people going about their business shopping in a mall. It's very peculiar. And right in the middle of the mall, Craig is being interviewed in French and I think Walloon. There's another language that I don't recognize.
Wow.
Or Flemish. It might be like it's definitely mid-European.
That's wild.
And so it's great. It's worth checking out.
I think because we're friends on Facebook. I'll have to track that one down.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. But that set was just awesome. And once again, another abandoned building, basically, that you guys shot in for that.
Fraser, 15 Fraser, which is
right around the corner from my apartment.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's been home for many productions, Canadian and otherwise.
Yeah.
It's great.
Weren't we locked in a jail cell at one point?
That's where they shot Hurricane.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's just hard to believe that literally that is around the corner from my apartment, and all this stuff is happening right there, and I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yes,
Nondescript
that's right.
on the outside.
I love that.
World on the inside.
Love that about Toronto. I would be remiss if I didn't mention two things.
Right.
This one for our friend Christy. You were in X-Men 3.
I certainly was.
Because she's a huge X fan, so we had to make sure we mentioned that.
Right, yeah, and I had fun doing that. That was, and for me too, as an actor, to do a scene with Ian McKellen is, great. And so that was a real bonus for me. And what a gentleman. And it was very interesting, actually, because the scene I was in, I mean, it was a very kind of a talky scene, but Ian was very adamant that it didn't get lost in all the action and all the bangs and the guns and the whistles and stuff. Because for him it was the moral center of the movie, and that is, are you proud about who you are, or do you want to change? Do you want to take the cure? And for him as a gay man, it was a very important scene, and he really fought for it. And he actually at the beginning he said to me, like, I really want this to be clear, and I don't want this scene to disappear. I want it to be a good scene. So it was really heartening for me to see an actor of his caliber doing stuff that he's still passionate about, and sort of big budget stuff that he still cares enough about how it's perceived.
Oh yeah,
he's not just selling out, whatever that means. I don't know that people. I mean, it's more complicated than just taking a big paycheck.
Oh, totally. Because you can still be faithful to the craft.
Yeah.
I mean, I just finished watching him in the extended editions of The Hobbit and all the behind the scenes stuff, and he covers everything. He's there doing it, and just like, dude.
Another interesting little tidbit from that was that we were under a lot of pressure to get our scene done, because he was under contract to do a theatre piece in London, a pantomime in drag, and I can't remember what it was exactly, but he was adamant that even though he could, people said, well, we could buy them out. We could. No. I have an obligation. I've said that I would do this. That I have to be there to do it. And he stood by his principles. That's
great.
Cool.
Yeah. And then what was the other one? Of course, is you also did some work with our friend Katie Boland way back in the day on the Zach Files.
Oh my! Yes, right. Yeah, okay.
I just saw that. I'm like, what? That's awesome. So,
yeah, right. And I was the Mad Hatter, wasn't I?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and I danced around UC College or Knox College or somewhere that was one of our regular halls.
I just like that was awesome.
It's funny when you're a guy like me because you know I'll often do a lot of atmospheric, historical, spooky stuff, and I go, oh, I'm here again.
Wait.
I remember this. Yeah. Echoes from shows of before.
That's awesome. And then
Murdoch Mysteries.
Murdoch
Murdoch,
Mysteries. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. That was we shot that mainly in Hamilton. A smart show that and great cast, and Yannick also has really sort of he's taken it on.
He really has.
It's become more than a show, I think.
Oh yeah.
I think it's a sort of an iconic program that it seems that it could go forever.
I think so. I hope so.
Yeah.
Jinx on you.
Yeah.
And I love all the work, and I love
Johnny and great supporting cast.
Yes.
I mean, I think that's the secret too, is that you don't just have your lead guy that's interesting or has the ability to surprise. But you all your supporting cast, you really have to invest in them. And sometimes take the lead off the boil.
Oh, totally.
And just watch other people.
Yeah. And everybody's already a full fleshed out character, and yet you still get to see them grow every season too, and become a little bit more than what they were.
Yeah.
Now, is there a series that you haven't been on that you'd like to do?
Haven. I'll start throwing up my wishes.
Haven would be good.
Yeah.
We were talking about that this afternoon.
Yeah. I know Guillermo del Toro's shooting here in town at the moment, and I mean I've always loved his stuff, and it's always interesting. I was actually in Pacific Rim, and then he changed the ending, which he had to do through budget restraints and stuff. So in fact, I'd had like 3 wardrobe calls. I had a suit fitted, and I was a guy covered head to foot in tattoos. It was very cool. And then I got the call saying change the end. So this whole section, I wasn't the only one. There were many people. This is the business. So I was disappointed to miss it, but I thought, no, he's so good. And he had actually remembered me from a really tiny part I did in Mimic when he shot it in Toronto.
I was just reading about that.
Many years ago, which was a great film.
Yeah.
It was.
And I had this, and I think in one cut, I'm not in it at all, and in an extended version, I am in it.
Yeah.
But, and you can't really tell who it is. But sure enough, Guillermo went, you're the guy from, and amazing fella.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Nice, when we've got these people like George Romero and Guillermo del Toro coming to Toronto and liking being here, and we must be doing something right. Right? There must be some kind of reason for it that keeps us all here, and there's kind of an energy and a breadth of talent, I think.
Oh, totally.
I really do.
And
I
it's
really feel that.
like taking off.
Yeah, because it used to be like
now.
Vancouver a lot, but now it seems to kind of centered over to Toronto.
Yeah, I think so. Now, I got to say, too, it's my privilege as an actor. I'm able to parachute a bit. You know, I can go and parachute and do a gig in Supernatural in Vancouver or whatever. I go to Halifax, the East Coast, and Winnipeg, and wherever. So it's kind of a pleasure. But I'm actually impressed how we are a national film identity. We do have crews everywhere, but for sure, for me, Toronto is home, and it is the nucleus for me.
Oh yeah.
And it has been for 30 years. So it's my 30th wedding anniversary tomorrow. Sunday. Better remember
before you before you walk in that door. That could be a problem.
It's been recorded too.
Damn it.
Darling,
Damn it.
I'm sorry.
It was a bit. We planned this in advance. But I love the fact that, and this is going to come across probably completely wrong because we were talking about it on our way over, that you have this knack of playing these kind of off-center, kind of creepy kind of characters.
Yeah.
And then, because Matthew Bennett's name came up, a couple other actors, and it's just... And I think we talked about it earlier with Romero and how it's just creepy, but you're just such a down-to-earth guy in real life. You're not, as far as we know, really creepy.
Well, you know,
in our experience, you're not creepy at all.
Well, there's nothing repressed, right? I mean, I get to play and have fun, and I get permission from people to be really bad, really naughty, really awful, and I have fun doing it. So I feel like I'm licensed to do it. So therefore, I'm not kind of uptight or strung out about it. And the beauty of doing what I do is that I don't really have an image to keep up. I don't have to kind of go, oh no, you know, I wouldn't do that in a certain way or anything. I mean, God, you know, and that to me is the basis of being an actor. You have to be down to earth and you have to be adaptable. So yeah, no, hopefully I'm pretty easy to get on with.
Oh, totally. Yeah, and I would be completely remiss if I didn't also mention the fact that before Tom Hiddleston did it, you played Loki.
Oh yes, I did.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I certainly did. In the studio in Regina, which what was the name of the series?
I believe it was Mythmakers.
You are so
yes,
good.
Absolutely.
Goodness me, you really get.
I do my research. Yeah, I do my
and I remember going and doing that, and that was fun.
Take that, Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah.
Although you're perfectly adequate as Loki.
You know what I've decided though is that somebody needs to write some kind of quirky, fun movie where you and Bill Nighy are in like a ton of scenes together.
A couple of things.
Yeah.
A couple of people have said that that there's a kind of a similar thing.
Yeah, it could be like Cousins or something.
Yeah.
Or really
and it could be a
some
road
way.
movie.
Yeah.
And he's very droll. He's got a very dry sort of, sort of. And I don't know that I have it naturally, but some of the characters that I play go in that direction too.
Yeah.
You know, and sort of like roll their eyes and kind of dismiss people like that rather than aggressively.
It's so fun to see you play off each other.
Yeah, he's fun. I've always liked watching his stuff. Yeah, and obviously when you're the actor and you're compared to someone, you go, really?
What?
But, like I get it. I get it. It's like me and Brad Pitt. It's like
happens
we're
all
so
the time.
similar. We're so,
Technically, you both played Death, so
There you go.
yeah.
You have to go on Supernatural and eat peanut butter now, and
That's
for the first
right,
time,
yeah.
see how much you enjoy it.
Which is the beauty, of course, because you can go back now to Supernatural any time.
Absolutely.
So people-
well, they can't kill me.
No.
They can't. So at
not-
some point,
yeah.
I can dispatch people still. But yeah, we'll see. And I think it's a testament to the way that it's created. Is that they use a character like me sparingly.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
overuse
Yeah.
it. I mean, I'm a trump card, and they'll use the trump card
Totally.
occasionally when they need it, and so it benefits me too. So it means that I know when I'm used, they'll use me effectively.
Yeah, for a good reason.
Yeah, so
And that makes it more pourpowerful too.
Oh,
Like when
totally.
Sam walks in and you're standing there waiting for him. It's like,
like,
ah,
oh
no!
my God. We haven't got
Not
used
now.
to him and his funny socks and this and that. It's like, oh my God, he's here. Yeah. So yeah, and we'll see what happens. We'll see whether there's a spin-off or what goes on. But there's all sorts of rumors circulating. Not official ones. I mean, I'm not privy to any more than you are. But
That'd be cool.
We'll see.
No tranquilizer darts are required for this conversation.
Or the Lost Girl? You could always show up again in Lost Girl.
Yes, very briefly, which, interestingly enough, was an episode directed by John Fawcett of Orphan Black.
Orphan Black, yeah.
Who said, it was a pickup from a previous scene, or a previous episode that he needed something, I can't remember, but there was a real kind of a perfect storm of mess-ups. And they needed this one scene, and John went, Julian could come in and do it, but John wasn't there to direct it because he was off doing something else, and somebody else picked up. So it was like one of those weird sort of things where that scene is there, but it's very much out of context. It never really goes anywhere. And John and I have a sort of a history of this because I did John's first ever movie when he was at the Canadian Film Centre. I did a film called Half Nelson. Now there is another Half Nelson that got wide distribution. But this was pre that, and I played, surprise, surprise, a vampire, and with his son, who and the whole mystery being that why does Dad always stay in the basement and only come out certain times? And then we realised that the boy, when he goes to school, suddenly falls down and needs blood, and gets taught in the ways of being a vampire. It was a very, very interesting short film. And I had a great time on it. And this was John's first ever project, leaving CFC. It made a huge impression on me. And so he and I have been friends since. Wow. So I've followed him on his career, and I've seen him do Da Vinci. I've seen him do, who's the warrior princess? Xena. In New Zealand, and like watched his, and then to see him, and I, oddly enough, Graham Manson, who wrote Orphan Black, also was involved at the CFC. He wrote Cube. He co-wrote Cube, which I did.
Yes, you did with Mr. David Hewlett. Yeah.
So we kind of have these funny tentacles, and again, John said, "Oh, there's this guy in Orphan. We could use Julian again, you know." So we have this funny relationship where we keep catching up with each other. And,
that's awesome.
That's great. For me, that's the satisfaction of being a lifer in the business, where you actually start to see people and you see them develop, you see them go their own paths, and then you reconnect.
That's cool.
You start finding excuses to work together again.
Yeah, and I mean, it often doesn't happen, and more often it doesn't, but there are the occasional times when you go, this is so cool that we're here together, and we've been through all of these different paths, and, you know, we'll go off on different ones again. And for me, it's also particularly good because it's a maturing of the Canadian film industry.
Yes.
And with players that haven't just disappeared. And I say this as a passionate advocate for the Canadian film industry, as an immigrant myself. I mean, I came in 1980 and on tour with a theatre company, and I just fell in love, and I loved the place, and I did theatre, and I was amazed that there was this cultural energy that I could just hone into, and now I've seen it just mature, and I've seen the film industry get to the point where we've got success stories staying here and developing their own stories, and very, very well.
Because it's not the way it used to be, whereas if they had a hint of success, they were off stateside. Whereas now we're kind of starting to foster that, which is fantastic.
Yeah, we're keeping them here and still releasing them in this stage.
That's right.
You're welcome.
I love that. And of course, I've got a great idea to wrap it up, because we usually start with this question, but we'll finish with this question.
We jumped right ahead.
Your all-time favorite movie?
Night of the Hunter.
Ooh, Robert Mitchum.
Wow.
Absolutely. First time it's a fabulous movie. Charles Lawton's only movie. Charles Lawton, great actor, who played horror. He was, Frankenstein and like monsters. Directed this incredible Baroque movie, and it's the one with Robert Mitchum with Love and Hate tattooed, and he does this incredible preacher who is it's an amazing. Lillian Gish. I mean, it was such incredible, iconic performances. Lillian Gish, the beauty from the silent era, is the grandmother looking after her little children with a shotgun on the porch, rocking, singing hymns, looking after the children. And Robert Mitchum, the satanic preacher, I need
to watch that again soon.
Incredible movie. So it's an amalgamation of so many styles. And you ask about genre. For me, that's a perfect film because it borrows from so many sources, and it's terrifying. But you can't nail it as one thing.
No.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing piece.
It's so good.
So I put that there, and there's a few others. McCabe and Mrs. Miller is up there.
I know that.
Altman, shot in Squamish, BC.
I did not know that.
Yeah, with a Canadian cast. I mean, not obviously Julie Christie and Warren Beatty were obviously imported stars, but the bedrock of that film is Canadian.
I didn't know that at all. All right.
And the landscape is Canadian, and Leonard Cohen on the soundtrack is Canadian.
Totally
it's
Canadian.
a very interesting, I think it's a very Canadian film. And again, what was interesting for me was to do an homage to that called The Claim by Michael Winterbottom. Caught you.
Yeah, you did.
They don't know. They haven't done their research. So Michael
Look at that look.
Winterbottom, a
it
great
was on
British
IMDb.
movie maker, has got a huge body of work. It's basically an homage to McCabe and Mrs. Miller, a slow western, but based on The Mayor of Casterbridge by Thomas Hardy.
Okay.
Transposed to the Gold Rush. Shot in the Rockies, January, February, and March, with a mixed, an imported star cast: Natasha Kinski, Peter Mullen, Mila Jovovich, but also Sarah Polley and Wes Bentley just after he did American Beauty.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was a great movie and very much the same kind of background merging into the foreground.
Okay, yeah.
Very much the same kind of.
I can see the cover in my head now. Yeah. Okay. I know what one we're talking about.
So,
that's fantastic.
So that was an amazing thing for me. I'd always loved McCabe and Mrs. Miller, but I actually got to sort of be in an homage to it.
That's cool.
And walking down, being a cowboy.
Who doesn't want to do that?
Riding horses and stuff. So that was fun.
I would do that.
Dean Winchester would love that.
Yeah.
That's just wow. That is fantastic. Julian, thank you for coming in and making
pleasure.
our 50th show.
50.
Wow. That's
great.
It was just so cool. Since we first, I think, saw you at the Table for Rosalind Lee signing posters,
right.
and we saw the movie. We're like, we need to get him in the studio whenever we get
My
a chance.
twins in Rosalind Lee, by the way.
Yes,
Twin performances.
So good.
Practically Tatiana Maslany.
Yeah.
Clones. Yes.
That's awesome. So,
You know,
Julian,
anytime.
thank you very much.
My
That was
pleasure. And
Fantastic.
it's a pleasure to be here. Thank
Sue.
you.
Tim, thanks
Number
for having
50.
me on number 50.
Right. And we will see you guys again. Thank you for watching and all your support. It's been amazing. So thank you. Here's hoping for 50 more. I'm going to go turn off the show.
Yeah.
We're just gonna keep rolling.
Yes, that's right.
Talk amongst yourselves and stuff.